Today we're going to figure out which is the best beach for rock hounding on the northern Oregon coast. Pretty cool. So here's my plan. I'm going to start here and work my way up to the northern tip of Oregon, stopping at all these beaches and figure out which one is the best one for rock collecting, starting at Netarts Beach right here. And by the way, don't hate me if I butcher all these names. I think this is our best bet right here. This is where we want to be. This is where all the rocks have run down from the mountain. So I'm at the southern end of Netarts Beach at this nice little rock flow. We'll see what we can find, and we're finding just a hint of agate right here. However, that's all we're finding. There doesn't seem to be anything here, but I could be using the wrong logic. Instead of looking for stuff that's tumbled down from the mountain, maybe I should be looking for stuff that has been washed up from the ocean. And this is your typical beach view of a Pacific Northwest beach. Not too many rocks. This is just sand as far as the eye can see. We're looking for gravel. So on to the next beach. Next stop, Tunnel Beach, that has the famous tunnel in the cave. So I'm sure you've heard of Tunnel Beach. There's a cool tunnel at the northern tip that connects beaches, and on the middle of it, I'm finding a lot of small little bits of white agate stuck inside of larger host rock. Cool find. And this kind of seems like a common occurrence here on Tunnel Beach. A lot of this agate stuck in the host rock, and we call that amygdal rocks. Amygdals, or amygdal rocks, are volcanic rocks containing rounded cavities filled with secondary minerals like quartz, calcite, or zeolites. But once those agates pop out of those amygdal rocks, this is what they look like. These are the white beach agates that pretty much everybody's kind of looking for here. These are them out of the host rock. These are some nice medium-sized ones, but, you know, the bigger the better. By the way, if you enjoy this kind of content, feel free to like and subscribe. I'm also finding some small bits of green jasper, but we are at Tunnel Beach, so onto the tunnel. We gotta do the tunnel while we're here. This is a cool little tunnel that connects two beaches. There's, no rocks in here, but it's dramatic, it's cool, and you can't really come here without going through it. So, as you can see, there's a lot of other rock hounds here looking for rocks. I'm not the only one. There are actually a lot of other rock hounds out here looking for rocks on a random Tuesday morning. And there's tons of agate here. It's just stuck in the host rock. And everybody's kind of like collecting the small little bits that have come loose. But for me, I kind of think that it's cool to have the agate still in the host rock kind of sticking out so you can see where it came from. This little yellow one right here was a unique find. We've got a little bit of a botryoidal agate. That's when these bubbles occur. I'm going to zoom in on this little bubble pocket right there so you can see. This one's interesting. It's got some gold color in there and some bubbles. Bubbles always mean cut. Cut into your botryoidal agates because that means that there's going to be like a pattern in there. It's going to be a play of color. So yeah, some pretty decent rocks here. We've got some agate. We've got some green jasper. We've got some cool caves and some really nice rock formations out in the water. All right, now it's time to go north to the next beach. Now we're at a spot that's been recommended to me by a couple of locals. We're at Lost Boy Beach, which is appropriately named because it feels like we're in a beach in Neverland. The scenery here is just awesome. It's like out of a shipwreck novel. And what can you find at Lost Boy Beach? Green jasper in abundance. Check out this huge chunk of it that I found right here. Also, we're still finding some of these amygdal rocks and a lot of the white agate. And I'm pretty sure that these agates are not being washed down from the mountains. They're being washed in from the ocean floor because they're all smooth. You can see that the host rock is starting to tumble away. That's just a theory, though. And of course, you know me, if I'm someplace that has some unique wildlife, I'm gonna check it out. Check out this huge wall of mussels, sea anemones, and some starfish. All right, next beach up north. I have to say, I think this one was my favorite beach because of the scenery and also because it had the biggest rocks. Check this thing out. That is the largest agate I found all day. We got some 2-inch ones, some 1-inch ones. This is probably the beach. Now, I'm going to zoom in on this. This has a small corner of some plume activity in that right there. Rockhounding takes me to some pretty far out spots, but this is kind of like Hawaii here. This is nuts. This is like a little slice of heaven. This is called Short Beach, and if you go all the way down to the southern end of it, you'll find some of these agates, and check out this. I found some zeolite crystals, small, almost like hair-like cottony crystals stuck inside this host rock right here. How cool is that to find? This is like a new find for me. I don't normally find this kind of stuff. This is crazy. I've never found anything like this before. It's like small, almost cotton-like crystals on the end of this rock here, and it's still intact on a beach, no less. And that wasn't an isolated incident. Check it out. I'm finding a lot of these calcite zeolites just stuck in this green host rock. A couple more of these crystals here. You don't normally think of finding crystals at a beach just because the wave action should have eroded everything, the elements should have eroded everything, but all this stuff is pretty well preserved. I think this is the source of all the rocks that people are finding, like in pebble versions, like 3 beaches down. On to the next beach. I'm going to do a quick stop off in the town of Garibaldi at Captain's Corner for a salmon sandwich. You'll get the local flavor. And I'm going to land at Rockaway Beach. No rocks at Rockaway Beach, not worth it. No, I think that probably has to do a lot with the fact that we're in the summer months. During the stormy winters, I'm told that all the sand gets washed out and this is just bare, and you got a little bit better chances then. Let's keep going north. Next beach. Manzanita Beach. Now it's all sand except for that last bit at the north side. Watch out for these jellyfish. They are pretty, but they are all over the place. Okay, now the northern edge of the beach looks like this. Very promising, right? But all I'm kind of finding are some of these rocks with a calcite crust on it. I did find one medium-sized agate, but not in the great numbers that we're finding them in the southern beaches. Okay, we're running out of coastline to explore here. Last beach. Okay, now we're at Sunset Beach. We're way up north. It's just a famous beach where a lot of people like take their cars on it. Sandy, it's foggy, it's wavy, and there's not a lot of rocks. So here we are. We made it to the northern tip of Oregon to Sunset Beach. Not a lot of rock hounding to be done here. We're at the end of the map. If we went any further north, we'd be in Washington. So we hit all those beaches. What is the best beach for rock hounding? In my opinion, it is this one right here, Short Beach. That's when we found those zeolites. That's when we found all those huge agates. So if you're looking for the best beach to rock hound in Oregon, that's it. Pretty cool.